All right, thanks everyone. We're going to start the second half now of Founders Friday. So next up, we have Sarah from Elmwood talking about the latest accelerator that's coming to Leeds. So round of applause for Sarah, please.
Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you for inviting me to talk to you this evening. I won't go on for a long time. I'm here to talk to you about the Elmwood Launch Pod, which is an accelerator program. So before I do that, though, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Elmwood, because you've probably never heard of us. So Elmwood, I'm Sarah Deere. I'm the managing partner of Elmwood UK, and we are a brand design consultancy. But Leeds is our home, where we're created and grew up. We're now a global brand consultancy. So we believe in the extraordinary power that design has to create success for businesses. And we are the holders of the most design effectiveness awards ever won in the history of the Design Effectiveness Awards. So the DBA is our governing design business, body for our design business, and they run a scheme every year to judge the effectiveness of design work. And that is judged by business people, not by creative people. And we have won more of those awards than anybody else. So very proud of that. So we work with all sorts of different clients. We work with small clients. We work with very big clients. We work in clients with all sectors. So if you've ever brought saucy fish for your tea, or if you've ever got your power from SSE, or if you've ever been on goal.com in order to look at the football results, then you've come across our work. So we're based in Leeds. So I've been there for 26 years. So I'm not a founder, but I am someone that's been on a very interesting business journey. And when I started back in 1992 at Elmwood, we were about 20 people out in Guiseley doing work for local companies. And we've been on an adventure since then. Got a studio in London, studio in New York, in Melbourne, and also in Singapore. So it's been a really interesting story. And most of our growth has been based on the relationships that we've had with our clients, the success that we've brought those individuals, and they've taken us with them as they've grown their careers. So this is just another part of the adventure that we've been on, which is the launch pod. So as we all know, the world is changing massively at the moment, and rather than waiting around for it to happen, we decided that we would set up the accelerator hub so that we would be part of making the future happen rather than waiting for it. So, that's a very strange colour on there. It's supposed to be blue. I understand now why the previous man's slides didn't work. Oh my God, what does this say? So what we're doing, so we are running an accelerator hub. So we're based in Holbeck, just a little way over there, the Round Foundry. And we've got beautiful space. And we're looking to bring about 5 businesses that are looking for growth into that environment. We're going to run the accelerator program for 12 weeks. And during that time, we are going to have a mentorship program, which will take businesses through different stages of the journey, both from identifying who their target audience is, understanding insights, helping them think about what their distinct point of view is, what their brand should be about, and how to grow and develop that business. And we'll have a mentorship program alongside that as well. So we're bringing those businesses into the studio. We're going to have different themes for the different 12-week programs. Our first theme is around consumer health. So any businesses, either in this room now or any businesses that you know that are working in the field of consumer health, we're very interested in hearing from. It is an accelerator with a difference, because I realise there are lots of accelerators around at the moment. I spoke to you at the beginning about the fact that we really believe that design and creativity has a huge role to play in developing businesses and making them successful. So the government at the moment talks an awful lot about STEM subjects, so science, engineering, maths, etc. We believe very much in adding a design dimension to that, so we believe more in STEAM, which is the addition of art, because tech is great, wonderful, but you need design and creativity in order to help bring it to market and make it work. So we are looking for tech businesses, but we are looking for creative businesses as well. So any business in the field of consumer health, be it tech, creativity, maths, engineering, whatever, we're interested in hearing from them. So I said at the beginning that the reason that we're doing this is, again, part of our learning and our growth and our adventure that we've been on for the past 30 years or so. So I think it's really important to be helping make that change happen, support that change. I know we are going to learn an absolutely huge amount from doing it. Our team will learn a huge amount. But just by meeting different people, meeting people like you who I wouldn't be here talking to if we weren't doing this, and all those connections that you make and the network that we spoke about earlier is really, really important. I think it'll be great growth and learning for our team. But we're from Leeds, we're a Leeds business, that's where our headquarters is. And I think it's really, really important to put something back into the community and help businesses that are just beginning their journey to grow and give them a helping hand along the way. So those are all the reasons that we're doing it. So we're there, Holbeck Round Foundry. We have a beautiful, creative studio, importantly situated just between two pubs. Also good access to the station through the back entrance, and lovely coffee shops and things nearby, and really looking forward to running a really successful programme. If you want to apply, you can go to visit launchpod.elmwood.com, and applications close on the 23rd of July. So please either apply or let everybody know about it. That's it. Thank you very much for listening to me.
I think you guys just need to do a quick trade there. Yeah. So yeah, thanks again very much, Sarah. I know, again, speak to a lot of people coming out to these events. One of the great things they love about Leeds and like the Leeds kind of tech creative design community is that all the different options for support there are. So obviously we've just kind of gone through some major festivals in Leeds, tons of networking opportunities, tons of connections that we can make. But it's just great to highlight all the different types of accelerators, mentorship programs, incubators, things like that kind of carry on throughout the whole year. And just so you know that there's always going to be the chance to support kind of whatever initiative that you're looking at, or somebody could definitely point you in the right direction. So next up we have Scott. I was trying to memorize all the different names and businesses and everything that he tried to work, or he's been working with. Unlock Your Online is the main one that he's gone with. But he's going to give you a presentation today of a lot of the various initiatives that he's worked with, and then a very, very special one that's very close to him. So I know he's done a lot of events around the UK, and we're very lucky to have him here tonight at Founders Friday. So please help me welcome Scott today. I'll just leave this here.
Yeah, how does that work? How does that work?
Just this next.
Just that next.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Should I apply to Founders Friday? It'd be good for my exposure. It'd be good personal brand. I know you're not confident enough. You don't have the confidence. You'll be laughed at. It's embarrassing. But it's good exposure. Surely it's an opportunity to gain confidence. No, because you'll just be laughed at. You'll sweat. You've not done it before. It's embarrassing. Should you do that thing at the start of the talk that you said you were going to do, but you don't want to do? Every day, we do, on average, 35,000. We have 35,000 decisions. I know that sounds absurd, but that's taking into consideration decisions of even just turning left, turning right, going to the door like this way, that way. And then we're on different sides of the spectrum, from some people who can just make a decision lickety split, then there's other people more like me that think a lot more. That's where the anxiety comes in a lot more. That's where the panicking comes in a lot more. It's where you think a lot more, and there's a lot more around when it comes to decisions. And that's where it comes into what I'm going to be discussing today with social media and mental health. I'm not here to deter anyone from social media. I run a social media marketing agency. I love social media. I'm just here to open the awareness of what social media is doing to us, as I've been through past experiences and dealt with people who are struggling with it as well. So I'm not here to deter anyone from social media. Bit of introduction of me, 24 years old, studied at MMU, run a company called Unlock Your Online, where I run social media accounts in order to get people into events like this. So I run events all over 12 cities within Europe, running social media in order to put people into events. So I love meeting people. I do social media every single day. That is what I do. I love it. Just a little competition. I'm going to be running a little competition. If you subscribe to my channel, I'll choose someone at random, and we'll have a one-to-one for an hour. So just a quick fact before we go in. There's going to be a lot of facts, by the way. So you're going to be hit with a lot of facts just to really imprint what I'm discussing to really help. 1 in 4 people are affected by mental illness each year. So my story and how it ties to me. So I've been having panic attacks since the age of 15. But I only realised this last year when I was 23. I only recognised then because I didn't understand what they were. It happened on one night. It was in my final year of university. I just moved into my flat, really excited, ready to go. It's my final year at uni. I was on my own. I'd felt weird all week. If anyone knows what a panic attack feels like, it's weird. It's a really out-of-body experience. It almost mimics the feeling of a heart attack. You have heart palpitations, you're out of breath, you sweat, you're nauseous. It's weird. So I honestly thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't know what, I rang 999, I didn't know what else to do. Obviously I told my mum, she went, that was the wrong idea because she went off the rails. She was freaking out, she wasn't with me. So it just made me even worse. I was like, oh my God. And then I ended up going to hospital, got rushed to hospital. I got a taxi there. Got there, finally got seen, and I got told I had a panic attack. And I was like, what? You must be crazy. I've just nearly died. I have not had a panic attack. And that's where I finally realised that that's what I had. I'd had a panic attack. And then I suddenly realised once I got told this, that all these experiences since the age of 15, like boom, 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 that I've been having them. I just wasn't even aware of it. So that first story is just to show you the lack of awareness I had, and I believe most people have, of what it is. And that you might even be having them now. You don't, not right this second, but you might be having them, hopefully not, but you might be having them day to day now and then, and you might not even be aware of it, because it's a really strange feeling. It's a really out-of-body experience. Moving on to my next story, and where it ties into what I'm going to discuss today, is how social media, even though I love it, created a real clash and what really unraveled these panic attacks. And it was in my first startup. My first startup was a student discount website for beauty products. Really simple. It was just selling beauty products for student discounts, as simple as that. As many startups, they don't have much cash. Same as me, I had little to no cash at all, but I needed to market it. And this is where I found social media. And this is also where I fell in love with social media. But as much as I fell in love with it, I also saw the dark side. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate with your first startup or the start of your startup, that you go through this sort of entrepreneurial hustle lifestyle that you have to do everything. You have to do the website, even though you've never done a website. You have to do all the sales, you have to manage your account. You feel like you have to do every single thing because it's your baby and you have to do everything. But I'm sure now you realise it's a lot smarter to get people who are better than you at those things, and then you focus on what you're good at. That's what I was doing. I was trying to do everything. It got to the point where I was working 80 to 100 hours each week. 60-70% of that was purely on social media. 10 social media accounts posting 5 to 10 times on each, sometimes 5 to 10 times on each social media account a day. I got really tied into it. That started in 2015. I launched in November 2015, and I was on social media all the way up to this point. That's when I crashed. So as understandably, I was putting nearly 8 hours a day purely into social media, 80 hours a week into just my work, and that was no more than 30 minutes of the week was with family and friends. It was get up, work, go to sleep. That was it. And I worked at home, so it made it even worse. So this is where I crashed. This was a hard time. This is where it was difficult because it got to the point where I wouldn't even have the confidence to speak to my best friends. I didn't want to even go to the pub, which I did most Fridays. I didn't have the confidence to go to the pub to speak to anyone. Friends I'd known my whole entire life. I didn't have the confidence to even string a 10-minute conversation with my family. This is how bad it got. So I'm going to cut the story short to the happy ending. Luckily, my sister deals with mental health patients. I plucked up the courage. I spoke to her, and I got the support I needed. 2 months down the line, after that, I was okay. But I wanted to understand what had happened. What had happened? Why did I created this isolation? Why had my mind gone off the rails so much when I was doing something I absolutely loved? I was over the moon when I started my first company. It was amazing. I'm sure a lot of you'll know from starting your first company at the start. It's so fun. It's so cool that you've got your own business. It's really inspirational. But it just crashed for me. So just a quick fact before I go on to the next bit is only 7% of the general UK population report suffering from depression, but a whopping 30% of founders report dealing with its effects. A bit of an interesting insight. I'm going to dive in again. This is estimations, this is a rough estimation. So if you come to over 650,000 new businesses in the UK in 2016, 30% of that, 195,000 people suffering depression, purely founders in the UK. So that's roughly about how many people in 2016. So it is a big thing, and like I said, you might not even be aware you're struggling from it. That's the weird part of mental health. You might not even be aware you struggle with it. So what happened to me? Why did I crash? The simple thing to say is I didn't have a social life for 12 months. So I think that's a pretty obvious one. You go, if you glue yourself to a laptop every second of the day, I mean, what do you expect to happen? I didn't really think that way forward, but that's what I was doing. 60 hours a week social media. I fell into this instant satisfaction of social media, instant gratification satisfaction, the constant comparison of other profiles and brands, feeling like that on life is real and that I must be as good as that, and if I'm not, I'm terrible at what I do. I'm sure we've all fallen into that at some point where you've compared yourself to someone else and you've fallen into that comparison battle. And again, into that just entrepreneurial hustle, feel like I need to do everything in my startup. I just fell into this rut, isolation of just being glued to social media, which isolated me away from my family and friends. An interesting fact, and this explains what happened to me, was the more time people spend on social media, the more socially isolated they perceive themselves to be. And perceived social isolation is one of the worst things for us mentally and physically. Pretty much sums up exactly what I did. Furthermore, a 2015 study by the University of Missouri found that regularly using Facebook could lead to symptoms of depression if the site triggered feelings of envy in the user. That relates to my comparison of people. So where I was continuously comparing myself, my brand, my personal profile, which I'm sure we all naturally do, as we're all competitive, we want to do that. So that was I was doing through social media, and I know many people around the world are doing it as well. I've dealt with those people myself. So this is the problem, but I'm not saying this is a bad problem. I always feel a problem is a good thing because it just means it's an opportunity for us to change. It's an opportunity to be better. It's an opportunity to develop. So the problem is the amount of time we spend on social media, the education and awareness, the lack of education and awareness, and the accessibility, which is the best thing about social media. However, the easy accessibility of youth to social media, it can be hugely damaging, as you'll see now. So children who spend more than 3 hours each school day on social media are more than twice as likely to suffer from poor mental health. In addition, experts say they'll have lack of emotional and social development, the delays in social and emotional development, so it actually affects the development of their brain. So this is when I say the accessibility aspect of it. Yes, I love that everyone's accessible to it because that's a huge part of why social media is so good, but it's also damaging the youth of today. And finally, the majority of young people, 56%, are reported spending up to 3 hours a day on social media. So they're achieving what's going to create that twice as likely to have a mental health issue. So very quickly, a solution, because I know I'm tight for time. Again, focus on time education and accessibility. I threw a workshop recently in Tanzania where I combine both social media and mental health. I've run social media workshops before, but never combined it with mental health. I did that, really good response, and that's what I continue. I'm looking to do it globally, both in underdeveloped countries as well as in the UK. As well, I went to the Youth for United Nations. I represented the UK in the Youth for United Nations. They're all about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. If anyone doesn't know what they are, it's to do with just all the world problems. It's to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. I was there conducting one of the caucuses, which was technology transfer, and one of our resolutions was this: calls upon nationwide awareness and support for mental health through free accessible software and workshops. And that gets implemented later this year into the UN strategy for 2019. Finally, my solution moving forward, I'm going to be working with these two very inspirational guys, Eden Namiyuki and Amendeshi. Eden Namiyuki runs Elevate Young Minds and Young Creative Leaders, bring creative leaders together to run projects like the Tanzania opportunity I did. And Amendeshi runs Imagine Bradford, a mental health company that looks to help with mental health in communities through sport. Together, these guys were going to be changing social media by targeting mental health and developing it into social media by making people do social media responsibly rather than irresponsibly. I just want to leave you this fact, just so you know the seriousness of it. Is 75% of young people with mental health problems are not receiving treatment, and the average wait for effective treatment is 10 years. So it really is a serious effect. If you want to know anything about me, there's all my social media. Please do ask any questions or anything at the end. Thank you so much. Thanks, sir.
I'll give everyone in the room an opportunity to catch up with Scott afterwards. We still got more beer and everything like that, but I'll just wrap up for the evening. Again, Scott's details, you can grab them off him, I'm sure. So last few kind of things are like little announcements. I know Founders Friday is coming to a close this evening, but there are plenty of events to keep socializing until the next Founders Friday. I think even just the Leeds Indie Food Festival is still going on. The Flamenco Festival is going on just this weekend. Slam Dunk Festival is tomorrow. A quick shout out for Startup Weekend Leeds. Taurus is organizing that. If you either are a founder and you just want to get some practice throwing together a business in 3 days, or if it's kind of your first time trying out a business and maybe you want to just kind of see what it's like. Tickets, I believe, are currently sold out due to the raging popularity of it. But if you ask Taurus very nicely, he might be able to do something for you on the wait list. So talk to him if you have any other questions. But again, if you want any other details, the Leeds Digi Drink channel, we don't just tweet about Founders Friday, although we do have kind of recaps after every event. But if you're looking for any kind of social activities in Leeds and want to keep connecting with the tech, the creative digital community throughout the entire month, just stay tuned to our social media, and we kind of retweet and post all these events as well. So I'm just going to hand it over to Owen real quick, and he'll just let everyone know we're going to be heading off to after the evening here.
Yeah, so we're going to be really, really lazy this evening, and we're going to head to the Taps, which is literally, you walk out the building, you follow the road around to the right-hand side, and it's the first first bar/pub that you see. There's pizza there, so if you want to get pizza and some food, Josh also works there, so if you want to get some discount, speak to Josh. And thank you. Connections. That's everywhere. And yeah, thanks for everyone for A, coming, and B, all the speakers. So, and we'll see you hopefully in June. Ooh, mysterious. Cheers, guys. Bye now. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks again, guys.